Welcome to Science and Technology Briefing. The content of the briefing includes how a £25 payment is turning Scotland into a European pioneer in reducing child deprivation, why Netflix is selling pizza, wedding gowns based on your favorite shows, EV maker Rivian beats Q3 delivery estimates after raising production, VanEck launches ETF tied to Ether futures, CAQ looks to hang on to hotly contested Jean Talon riding in Quebec by-election today. How a £25 payment is turning Scotland into a European pioneer in reducing child deprivation. Financial Times. The Scottish Child Payment, a weekly cash payment of £25 for each child under 16 years old, has been praised for reducing child poverty rates in Scotland and has the potential to be a model for cash disbursements in combating poverty globally. The payment has helped lift about 90,000 children out of poverty in Scotland this year, and a total of 316,000 children have benefited from the scheme. It is paid in addition to other welfare benefits received by families with children under 16 years old, meaning a four-child family is entitled to £5,200 a year that is not available to peers in England. The child payment was introduced at £10 per child per week in 2021 and raised to £25 in November 2022. Supporters of Scottish independence believe the success of the payment demonstrates how the country could do things differently if it broke with the UK. However, some campaigners and charities argue that more needs to be done to meet poverty reduction pledges, such as providing free breakfasts to all primary school children. Why Netflix is selling pizza, wedding gowns based on your favorite shows. Wall Street Journal. Netflix is shifting its approach to merchandise and fan experiences, aiming to expand these offerings for its original shows and films. The streaming giant has traditionally focused on selling subscriptions and waited to see if a show or film was a hit before investing in merchandise. However, with its growing catalog of original content, including franchises such as Squid Game and Bridgerton, Netflix is now looking to deepen fan engagement and keep viewers interested between seasons. The company is asking earlier in the planning process whether there is an opportunity to sell goods or events based on a show or film, and is working with creators to develop merchandise. Netflix has also been building out experiences, such as pop-up restaurants and virtual reality games, to engage fans. The move reflects Netflix's recognition that it is easier to retain subscribers when viewers are obsessed with characters and franchises. While there are financial risks involved in creating merchandise and experiences for unproven shows, Netflix believes it is a worthwhile strategy to keep fans engaged and invested in its content. EV maker Rivian beats Q3 delivery estimates after raising production. Reuters. Electric vehicle maker Rivian Automotive reported higher than expected deliveries in the third quarter, as the company increased production to meet strong demand for its pickup trucks and SUVs. Rivian delivered 15,564 vehicles in Q3, surpassing analysts' estimates of 14,740 vehicles. The company is on track to produce 52,000 vehicles in 2023, up from its previous target of 50,000 vehicles. Rivian has not cut prices like some competitors, but has focused on reducing costs and increasing in-house production to reduce its dependency on suppliers. Despite concerns of softening demand in the US EV market, Rivian's performance suggests positive growth in the industry. VanEck launches ETF tied to Ether futures. Reuters. Investment manager VanEck has launched the VanEck Ethereum Strategy ETF, making it one of the first US investment managers to offer a futures-based exchange-traded fund, ETF, linked to the cryptocurrency Ether. The fund will invest in Ether futures traded on the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. Other firms including ProShares, Bitwise, and Invesco have also filed to list ETFs tied to Ether, expected to launch later in the day. The VanEck fund has an expense ratio of 0.66% and will be structured as a C Corp, meaning it will pay taxes at the fund level and distributions to investors will be taxable. CAQ looks to hang on to hotly contested Jean Talon riding in Quebec by-election today. The Globe and Mail. Residents in Quebec City's Jean Talon riding are voting in a by-election today, triggered by the resignation of Coalition Avenir Quebec's Joël Boutin. Premier François Legault has been campaigning for his party's candidate, Marianic Choueiri, while Pascal Paradis of the Part 1 Québécois is polling second and representing the left-wing Quebec Solidaire is Olivier Bolduc. The Quebec Liberals are also running a candidate, Elise Avid-Bernier. The Coalition Avenir Quebec currently holds the majority of seats in the legislature. US optimistic it will reach critical minerals deal with EU. Reuters. The United States is optimistic about reaching an agreement with the European Union, EU, that would allow EU critical minerals to qualify for US clean vehicle tax breaks. Negotiations are underway to determine how minerals such as lithium and nickel can be eligible for green subsidies under the U.S. Inflation Reduction Act. The U.S. recently signed a minerals deal with Japan and is now working towards a similar agreement with the EU and the UK. The US is also in discussions with the EU about establishing safeguards for artificial intelligence that align with democratic values and human rights. Huawei's Meng ends rotating chairmanship with 5G smartphone success. South China Morning Post. Huawei's CFO, Meng Wanzhou, has completed her 6-month tenure as the rotating chairwoman of the company. She oversaw Huawei's return to the 5G smartphone market amid US sanctions. Ken Huokuan, deputy chairman of Huawei's board of directors, has taken over the rotating chairman role. Huawei has faced challenges due to US trade sanctions, which have restricted its access to advanced semiconductors. However, the company recently launched the 5G-capable Mate 60 Pro smartphone, powered by an in-house chip. Meng has been hailed as a national hero in China after her return from Canada, where she fought extradition to the US on charges of violating sanctions against Iran. Huawei plans to transform itself into a key provider of computing power to support China's artificial intelligence development. Italy weighs auto incentive scheme to cut Chinese EV price advantage, sources. Reuters. Italy is considering implementing new incentives for car purchases that take into account carbon emissions in the manufacturing and distribution process. The move is seen as a way to protect Italy's automotive industry against Chinese imports, particularly electric vehicles, EVs, that are being imported into Europe at lower prices. The proposed scheme is inspired by a similar one adopted in France last month. The French incentive framework scores car models against government-set thresholds for the energy used in their production, assembly, and transport, as well as the type of battery used. The criteria in France are likely to make Chinese cars ineligible for bonuses due to the country's reliance on coal-generated electricity and the transportation of vehicles by boat. Italy is aiming to agree on a long-term plan for its automotive industry and is in talks with relevant groups, including Fiat maker Stellantis, to boost national car production and support a shift towards more environmentally friendly vehicles. Ladies and gentlemen, it's your friendly neighborhood Sixth Doctor here, bringing you the latest news from the Six Dimensions. I hope you're all doing well and staying safe. Now, let's dive into today's stories. First up, we have some good news from Scotland. The Scottish Child Payment has been making waves in reducing child poverty rates. With a weekly cash payment of £25 for each child under 16, this program has lifted around 90,000 children out of poverty this year alone. It's an impressive feat and could serve as a model for other countries in their fight against poverty. Who knew a small payment could make such a big difference? Next, Netflix is trying something new to keep viewers engaged. Instead of just focusing on subscriptions, they're now investing in merchandise and fan experiences for their original shows and films. From selling pizza and wedding gowns based on your favorite shows to pop-up restaurants and virtual reality games, Netflix wants to keep fans obsessed with their content. It's a risky move, but it seems like they're onto something. After all, who wouldn't want to dress up like their favorite Bridgerton character? In the world of electric vehicles, Rivian is making some noise. The EV maker has beaten delivery estimates in the third quarter, delivering over 15,000 vehicles. With strong demand for its pickup trucks and SUVs, Rivian is on track to produce even more vehicles in the coming year. It's a positive sign for the EV industry, despite concerns of softening demand. Looks like the future is bright for electric vehicles. Moving on to the world of cryptocurrencies, VanEck has launched an ETF tied to Ether futures. It's one of the first US investment managers to offer such a product. The fund will invest in Ether futures traded on the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. It's an interesting development in the world of crypto investments and shows that cryptocurrencies are becoming more mainstream. Just be careful not to invest all your money in imaginary internet coins, folks. In Canadian politics, the Jean Talon riding in Quebec is having a by-election today. The coalition Avenir Quebec is hoping to hold on to the seat, but it's a hotly contested race. Premier François Legault has been campaigning for his party's candidate, while other parties are putting up a fight. It's always interesting to see how these elections play out and what it means for the political landscape. And finally, the US is optimistic about reaching a critical minerals deal with the EU. Negotiations are underway to allow EU critical minerals to qualify for US clean vehicle tax breaks. It's part of a broader effort to secure supply chains and promote green subsidies. It's good to see countries working together on these issues, especially when it comes to clean energy and sustainability. Well, that's all the news for today, folks. It's been a wild ride, from fighting child poverty in Scotland to dressing up like characters from your favorite Netflix shows. Remember, these are just my observations, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. What do you think about these stories? Do you have any ideas or questions? Let's open up the discussion and see what you all think. The Sixth Doctor is here to listen. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the Sixth Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of Sixth Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the Sixth Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize Sixth Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, sixthdobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive Sixth Do Brief via email.